Good afternoon and welcome to the latest edition of the Married with Children documentary, The Ladies of Married with Children or The Girls of Married with Children. These are actresses that have appeared in Married with Children throughout the 11 seasons of the sitcom, which ran in the 1980s and 1990s. This week we're looking at season 10, episode number 12, Torch Song Duet. The actress we're talking to this evening is the one and only Victoria Fuller, who played
Hi.
model 2 in the episode Torch Song Duet. I suppose Victoria, you appeared in season 10 of Married with Children. Tell me, throughout the 80s, were you a regular watcher of the show? Were you a regular watcher of the first 6 or 7 seasons? Did you get the humor? Did you get the banter? Were you a fan? Did you sort of enjoy the whole sort of raunchy sort of nature of it?
Yeah, definitely. I always wanted to be on the show because I followed that show from the beginning. I always thought it was great and funny and witty and just silly. And when the opportunity came up, of course, I was thrilled. And I was actually in the final episode, the very last episode, which was the one So it was an hour. It was actually an hour long, or no, it was two different episodes put together. And it had Cindy Crawford. It had sports people that you probably don't know of. I can't remember his Bo Diddley. I don't remember his name, but anyways, it had some other celebrities that were pretty big at the time in it, which was really cool. And so it was a lot of people on set. You know, there was a lot of people outside of the cast that were there. So it was really fun.
And I suppose, Victoria, you did an awful lot of modelling throughout the 80s as well. You appeared in Playboy, you did other modelling sort of ventures as well. So I suppose that sort of, to appear in Married with Children, the light sort of humour, the comedy, the sort of wit, the sort of light-hearted humour to it, that I suppose it was a real enjoyable sort of experience, one that you brought an awful lot of laughs when you're on set. Nothing really too serious, given I know modelling sometimes can be a very serious sort of profession and sort of daunting at times. But in terms of Married with Children, I suppose for you, was it very much fun, your time? Is that just you remember the fun element of it?
Yeah, it was really fun. And it was also really fun because watching the show and then going and being on the set and kind of seeing how they run things was also really interesting. And then being able to talk to the main people, and I'm so bad with names, but the father, I did my scene with him, and he was
Ed
just,
O'Neill. Yeah.
Yes, I love him. And I think he's so great. And he was so fun to be around. He was really nice. He was nice to everybody, but he spent time talking with everybody. And of course, he's a very different person because he's a total idiot, right? On the show, he's stupid, and he's not at all stupid. And he's very, he's actually a really great actor in some of his other things that he's been in that are more serious, which surprised me later on when I was able to see him. But he was really fun to get to know. And the Bud character, the son, Bud, was
David Faustino.
Yeah. He pretty much stayed in character most of the time, and was kind of who he was on the show. Like, he stayed in his character and kind of just played it off like, that character. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, and the mother was really interesting because obviously she's nothing like that, and the wig and the whole thing. And so it was really fun getting to know everybody on a behind the scenes thing. Mm-hmm.
And I suppose, Victoria, you mentioned that there you appeared with Ed O'Neill, but you also appeared with Griff, Harold Sylvester, the sort of Al's sort of sidekick, and he got you presented him with the cover of the Man of the Year. Griff got sort of presented with the Man of the Year, and you were one of the sort of 2 models, and it sort of was the sort of jealousy then of Al, and we see him daydreaming and basically then one of the models, your psychic, says that he is the Man of the Year, and while you say to him, he's the Man of the Century.
Right.
That was your line.
No, you're the Man of the Century. Yeah, that was my one line. And I was so nervous because I didn't want to get it, I didn't want to get my one line wrong. Like, how silly is that? But I was really nervous. I really wanted to do well. And we had to be on our knees for that sequence, like for a really long time. So we were in a lot of pain, the girls and I that were sitting down. I'm trying to find the picture so I can show you guys. I got a Polaroid from the set. But anyways, yeah, that was really fun. I forgot that we presented the magazine. I totally had forgotten that. I thought it was just that one scene, but you're right. That's so funny. It's been such a long time. Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, Al, you're the man of the year. No, you're the man of the century.
You're twice the man Griff is. That's why I cloned myself.
Hey, everybody, it's Griff.
And he's got the torch!
And I suppose Victoria arriving on set of Married with Children, I suppose there's that bit of awestruck, that bit of starstruck for anyone that goes in to meet a TV series that you were sort of watching. But were you sort of taken aback by the sort of professional nature of the show? Obviously, you were in there in season sort of 10 of Married with Children. Do you sort of feel that it was a well-oiled, slick run machine that did make you very comfortable walking in there for your first time in Married with Children set? Did you feel at ease straight away?
Well, for me, because I'm not really an actress, but they, you know, being with Playboy, they sent you out on a lot of little pieces, parts like that. So for me, I wasn't aspiring to be an actress, but I don't think I was starstruck because you know, I was spending time with Hugh Hefner, who I was starstruck with. But they made me at ease, but also, you know, because we're in the dressing room, I had to be in a bikini the whole time. That was nerve-wracking, even though I was, you know, so much younger and had like self-conscious, you know, walking around in a bikini, and they had to put tanning stuff on me. So these girls were rubbing my whole body down, and then I couldn't touch anything. I couldn't go to the restroom because, you know, so it was just really, the whole thing was really fun. It's always fun being on a set because it's always fun watching the behind the scenes. I find it fascinating, and I think most people do. There's a lot of waiting around and stuff like that, and food sitting around and stuff. And so, the other two girls that I worked with were the Tennyson twins. One of them was Playmate of the Year, and then her twin sister. And so that was really fun to just hang out with them. And we also did Friends together, the show Friends. So we went from set to set, which was really cool. But yeah, everybody was super professional always. Every set I've ever been on has always been really great and professional. So that was a no-brainer. But no, I didn't feel nervous at all. I was really more nervous about performing the line. That was the only thing I was worried about. I wanted to just do that well and you know, move on with the job. I didn't want to be the problem on the set, especially since it was the last episode of the entire show. So yeah, so that was my only pressure. But yeah, everything else was great fun, such fun.
And I suppose there's always an element of joy, I suppose, in terms of dress up and sort of feeling sort of pretty for a girl as well. And I suppose for Married with Children, I know there's comedy, there was a humor, but there was that sort of release of I suppose that sort of, it was male testosterone driven as well. It was geared maybe towards a 16 to 35-year-old demographic. And obviously an awful lot of beautiful ladies throughout the 11 seasons appeared in Married with Children. And there's that phrase that it was sort of daring. It didn't push it too far in terms of its sexiness, but there was that element of sex to it in a light sort of way as well. And I suppose with Married with Children as well coming on, that said, you were probably aware of that was this, it was more light-hearted sort of content. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can't hear. I can't hear you. No. We have you back. Have we?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you
Okay.
now. Yeah. We've
Sorry
just
about
lost the
that.
audio. No problem. I suppose, Victoria, where I was going to take off in terms of that sort of, I suppose you as an actress, as a model throughout the 80s and early 90s, you would have appeared, I suppose, in modeling since in terms of Playboy and sort of stuff like that. So you're probably aware that Married with Children probably was more light-hearted in terms of its content, but in terms of it still had that sort of male-driven sort of testosterone. It was driven towards a 16 to 35-year-old sort of demographic. So when you came on that sort of show, were you sort of a bit conscious all the same that it was a TV sitcom that was seen all across the United States? You mentioned there being in a bra and a bikini and stuff like that. Was that a bit daunting in terms of, obviously, a set audience only watches Playboy, but I suppose everyone's probably turned in at some stage and watched Married with Children.
Right. Well, no, I don't think it was daunting. I think it was just really exciting because it was such a popular show, and because I had watched it from when I was younger, before I was modeling or anything, and so for me to be on the show after I had actually auditioned several times.
Okay.
And the thing I'd auditioned maybe 4 times and they kept not choosing me. And the last time that I actually got on, they wanted to audition me again. And I told Playboy was the agency. I said, I'm not going to the audition. They've already seen me in my bikini 4 times. I've already gone down there. Everybody knows what I look like. I can deliver a line or 2, whatever. It's not a problem. So if they want me, they need to just book me because I'm not showing up again. And so they did. So that tactic doesn't usually work, but for whatever reason, they thought, okay, well, we'll take her. So so thought I was gonna, just they were gonna pass on.
And I suppose, Victoria, in terms. I lost you. Victoria? Just have me coming and going. You there? Are you there? I have you again. I have you again.
Oh, there, I got you.
Yeah. I suppose, Victoria, it's no problem. I'll be editing this anyway, so it's pre-recorded, so we'll just edit away. I suppose,
Okay.
Victoria, an awful lot of girls have appeared in Married with Children throughout the years, famous actresses that have gone on to big things. We think Tiffany Thiessen, Saved by the Bell. We think of Fergie,
Sure.
Black Eyed Peas. Denise Richards has appeared in Married with Children. So many actresses throughout the years have appeared. I suppose as elite sort of assembly as well. And how delighted are you to be part of that sort of fraternity as such?
Oh yeah, totally. Actually, I never really thought of that. But I guess that's true. There's been a lot of girls that went on to do other things. Yeah, certainly in a group of girls. Certainly, being a playmate was also, in a category of girls that was also very dear to my heart, and so grateful that happened because it did open the doors to do stuff like this. And get hired on shows and things like this that were really fun to do. But yeah, I didn't realize all those girls were on it. You guys really did your history.
And I suppose, Victoria, I spoke to Devin Vasquez previously, and she appeared on season 3. And I suppose she had a bit of a controversial sort of scene that stirred up controversy all across America with people writing in in terms of Married with Children to be banned. She sort of was in the lingerie in front of Elle, and she sort of took off her bra. She was the first person to took off her bra in a comedy sort of TV sort of sitcom, even, you know, and it caused protesters to ban the show. But the such was the public acclaim that it actually spiked ratings, and they say it got a bit more raunchy after that. So in terms of that, were you sort of do you think that people's reaction to it at that time, being the 80s, being sort of liberal, such that they saw Married with Children as being a tiny bit sort of vulgar in terms of sex and all that sort of thing, when it really was just really light-hearted comedy?
I just think that there's a lot of people that don't have a sense of humor, and there's a lot of uptight people that are just so concerned with it's exploiting women and whatnot. And it's like, you know, I mean, it's funny, it's hilarious. And also too, I think it helps that you have to be able to laugh at yourself, whether you're fat, thin, pretty, you know, whatever. I mean, that's what it was all about, was just that poking at this and being so sarcastic about the male ego, the male psyche. You know, it's the stupid part about it, right? Like, it's so simple, like pretty girl walks by, everything falls apart, right? So it's hilarious. Like, there's some truth to it, but then there's not. I mean, they took it to an extreme, and I always thought it was, even at a young age, I was on it in the 90s, but I just always thought it was just so hysterical, because they pushed the envelope with what was appropriate to see on TV. And, you know, they kind of crossed some boundaries for sure, but it was all done with just, you know, I mean, really, you never saw anything. It was all suggested, right? And the cheating on the wife and the being distracted by other women. I mean, it's true. It happens, right? Like, that's a reality. But the way they did it was like theatrical, you know? I mean, it was just really slapstick and funny. And I always found humor in it. I just always thought it was funny. So I always thought they did a good job. And I thought it was so entertaining that they did push the envelope. And I think that's why it was so popular, is because they're going places maybe that other shows didn't want to, or whatever. You know, it was just that they were so dysfunctional. It was hilarious. You know, the whole family was so dysfunctional.
And I suppose, Victoria, I suppose this last question before I let you go, and probably the question that I start to finish off all sort of interviews on. Let's pretend there was a Married with Children encyclopedia, a sort of dictionary as such, and they put your character model, say model number 2, in the sort of dictionary. Well, let's call her Victoria. I'll call her model 2. Let's call her Victoria. So they put the character Victoria in a Married with Children encyclopedia, and they left 2 blank sentences underneath, and they came to you, Victoria Fuller, and they asked you to write those 2 sentences having portrayed her. What would you like those 2 sentences to read to sum her up?
Oh, about the character that I played?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously dumb blonde, right? It's pretty much what it was. And I know I'm not dumb, so that makes it all the more funny and fun to play, you know, being outside of yourself, being someone just so dumb. It was really liberating and fun. I had a really good time with it, even though it was such a small little slice of life, but being able to be part of that entire institution was really special, for sure.
And I suppose, Victoria, before we let you go, you're probably the one man who claims Al Bundy was the man of the century, you know, in Married with Children. I suppose he hasn't got that honor throughout the 11 seasons of his time on the show in Married with Children. You're the only one to call him man of the century. I don't think Peggy Bundy or Katie Segal would agree with that statement throughout the 11 seasons of knowing Al Bundy. Victoria Fuller, an absolute pleasure talking to you today to relive your memories of your time on Married with Children, season 10, Torch a Song Duet. As we say, you're one of the fraternity, the one of the girls, the ladies of Married with Children. Nobody can take that honor away from you. It's probably one of the moments that you can look back on fond memories, you, your family, and your loved ones. But for the moment, Victoria Fuller, take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.